chapter 20. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love for us. We thank you that you meet us here. We ask you to speak to us, Lord. Right now we want to lift up to you those in Ohio, those in El Paso. Our heart breaks for them, and we ask that you would bring them healing and bring them comfort. And I ask that you would reach out to them through your people, that they can understand your peace. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. We are in Genesis chapter 20. It has been said that those who fail at the test are destined to repeat the test. So we're going to see that Abraham is going to go through this very thing. Verse 1. It says, And Abraham journeyed from there to the south to dwell between Kadesh and Shur, and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said of his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. So why do I say that he's repeating a test? You remember in Genesis chapter 12, they went to Egypt. Abraham was so afraid that he would be killed. Why was he afraid that he would be killed? He was afraid because Sarah was beautiful. At this point, she was around 75 years old, and he was still fearful that she was gorgeous, that the king would want to take her for his harem. And in order to do so, he would have to get rid of Abraham. So, go ahead and tell them that you're my sister. Now, there's a man for you. I don't want to die, so I'm going to put you in harm's way so you can take the risk for me. And I've said this before. The other night, we're in bed, it's quiet, we're asleep. All of a sudden, I hear a noise. Somebody is in the house. Somebody we don't know. There's a rustling. And I elbowed Sylvia. I said, there's somebody in the house. Go check it out. That didn't really happen. But what man would do that? Go make sure I'm safe. Put yourself in harm's way. It's our job, men, to put ourselves between our wives and danger. Unless you're Abraham. You say, oh, I'm a little scared, so just say you're my sister, and whatever happens to you, you'll be fine. You'll live with it. I'll still be able to put my head down at night, have a good conscience, just don't let me get hurt. Yeah, well, this is the second time. Well, we're going to find out this is at least the second time that this happens. So let's look back at Genesis chapter 12. We're going to go to Genesis 12, starting at verse 10. Now, there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. And it came to pass, when he was close to entering Egypt, that he said to Sarah his wife, Indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore, it will happen, when the Egyptians see you, they will say, This is his wife, and they will kill me. But they will let you live. Please, say you are my sister, that it may be well with me, for your sake, and that I may live because of you. So he's trying to sell it that it's for her sake, but it's really for his own sake. He's trying to save his own skin. Let's go back to Genesis 20. In both cases, the king of the country they were in took Sarah for themselves. We see in chapter 12 that Abraham instructed Sarah to do this in order to save him. He was willing to put his wife in danger in order to protect himself. This is the act of a coward. As men, we should protect our wives, not the other way around. Now, I say that and I mean that, but I know that if we ever got in any situation and I stepped between my wife and danger, she'd be right there fighting with me. I know her. But it's not for me to say, here, go take care of this for me. That's not right. It's not okay. Let's go to verse 3. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. That's not the visitation I want from the Lord. You are a dead man. What? Indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. Now, in Genesis 12, it says that the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. That's Genesis 12:17. So in both cases, you have Abraham, who's more concerned about himself than his wife, and he tells her, do this. She agrees, she does it. But when she goes with the king, it was God who intervened in both circumstances. In chapter 12, it was plagues. We're not told exactly what those plagues are, but there are enough that got the king's attention. In chapter 20, the king heard, you are a dead man. That will get your attention. So keep this in mind. Even though Abraham failed, even though every one of us men in this room at one point or another are going to fail, it will happen. It was God who protected Sarah. It was God who protected her. That's what needs to be comforting. We can never fully meet the needs of our wives, and our wives can never fully meet our needs. The Lord has to be our all in all. And the Lord protected Sarah in both circumstances, both situations. Verse 4, but Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, will you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she, even she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hands, I have done this. It's so funny that Abimelech says, Lord, he's a pagan king, but he's speaking to the Lord. And he asks the question, will you destroy a righteous nation? Just a couple chapters ago, it was Abraham trying to speak up for Lot, saying, are you going to destroy a righteous nation? And that's when he said, what if you find 50? Okay, 45. Okay, 40. It goes down to 10. What if you find 10? I will not destroy the city if there's 10 righteous. And when the angels got there, remember, they weren't going, okay, there's 1, 2. It says they went there to pull them out, pull the righteous out, because there weren't 10 in the first place. They took the righteous out of the city so they could destroy the city, because there were not 10. That's what was negotiated. God kept his word. But now Abimelech is saying the same thing. Would you destroy a righteous nation? And what was the risk of them being unrighteous? It was because of Abraham's action. Now, we have to understand this, This is not saying that his nation was a righteous nation. It was saying that in this instance, he had not violated Sarah or Abraham. So in that sense, what he did was innocent. He said, in the integrity of my heart, I did not go out and intentionally take a man's wife. They told me that she wasn't the wife. I just thought that I was meeting somebody that was single. So in the integrity of his heart, in that sense, it was a righteous thing. It's not saying that he was a righteous man. But at least he had a position to argue from. Listen, this is what they told me. And God said to him in a dream, yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, for I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now, therefore, restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you shall surely die, you and all yours. So there's a lot in here. He says, yes, I understand you did not do anything. You did this in the integrity of your heart. But before you take credit for yourself and you tell everybody, well, I didn't do it because I'm a great guy. No, the truth is, you didn't do anything because I didn't allow it, God says. I'm the one who protected her. I'm the one who stopped you. This didn't happen because of me, not because of you, not because you're this righteous guy. It's because I love her and I protected her. But then he says, now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet. Here's this guy who went in, lied to the king. The king is now thrust into a position that he is negotiating for his life with God. But God says, oh, this man that just did this to you, he's a prophet. Ouch. It's a sad day when the prophet of God does something like this to a man of the world. It blows our witness. It ruins what we say we believe. He says he's a prophet and he's going to pray for you. Like, can I get somebody else to pray for me? This guy already did me in. Do I really need prayer from him? Yeah, he's going to pray for you. Can I be honest? This is what I love about Abraham. He's the father of our faith. He's the father of the Jewish faith. He's the father of the Muslim faith. He is a big deal. Can we just go with that? He's a big deal. And in all of his faithfulness, you remember, he and Sarah tried to help God, and that's when Ishmael came around, and he learned from that, and he decided to no longer help God. So in 2 more chapters, we see where God tells him to sacrifice his son, and he doesn't waver. He does exactly what God says. And it's in faith that he believed that God could raise Isaac from the dead. So he said, if God can't keep his promise, that's on him, not me. So he's such a man of faith. But at the same time, he's a knucklehead. I get this guy. I understand. I try to be a man of faith, but sometimes I blow it. And so I love the fact that the Bible shows these heroes of the faith, warts and all. Because if they glowed with everything they did, we couldn't relate to any of them. But here we are looking at this man that is such a man of faith, and we recognize ourselves in him. How do you go from hero to zero and zero to hero in a matter of seconds? I mean, Peter was good at that. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Flesh and blood didn't reveal this to you, but my Father in heaven. And he said, I'm going to go to Jerusalem and be crucified. Be farther from you, Lord. Get thee behind me, Satan. What? First you received this from the Father, now you're Satan. Just a matter of moments. I get that. I thank God that he shows these men and women of faith as real people. Or else we couldn't relate to this Bible. Just couldn't. But he tells Abimelech that Abraham is a prophet and he will pray for you. And you shall live. Now, in order to prevent Abimelech from saying, okay, well, I didn't touch her, I didn't violate her in any way, so I'm not going to get in trouble for that. But I'm just going to get rid of, take care of both of these people and just make them go away. To prevent that, God says, if you don't restore her back to her husband, you are going to die, and yours. You and your family. I will kill you all if you hurt this couple. So he's left with only one thing to do, right? He's got to restore them. Take her back to her husband. So Abimelech, verse 8, it was early in the morning, called all his servants and told all these things in their hearing, and the men were very much afraid. Yeah, you know, I took this lady into my harem. She was with this guy. They told me they were siblings, and that was all good. And then I have an encounter with the Lord telling me he's going to kill me. That kind of got my attention. And then God told me that I got to give her back to her husband. Imagine having a staff meeting. You're explaining this to all your subordinates. You know, this is what took place. Yeah, they'd be afraid. They're scared. What's happening next? And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? How have I offended you, that you have brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not to be done. Then Abimelech said to Abraham, what do you have in view that you have done this thing? It's a good question. This is what you've done. I want to know why you did this. You brought this hurt on me and my kingdom. Now I want to know, what was your game? What were you playing at? What was your intention? He very easily could have mistook Abraham's motivations. We truly don't know what a person's heart is. We don't know what motivates them. But imagine this king saying or thinking of Abraham, what on earth are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to hurt me and my kingdom? If all it takes is for you to make me mess up and God kills me, obviously he doesn't have his kingdom anymore. Are you trying to overthrow my nation? Are you trying to come after me? This king easily could have mistook those motives. The motives, of course, we're told what they are. Abraham was fearful. He was afraid to die. He wasn't man enough to stand up for his wife. But now this caused a situation where the king is wondering, what were you trying to do to me? So when we're going through our walk and we're interacting with people and we're being self-motivated, we're caring more about ourselves than others, and we do something that offends somebody else, how easy is it for them to misunderstand your motivations? What are you trying to do to me? Trying to hurt me? I don't have to explain to any men in here. But if a man feels that his family is threatened, we'll do what we have to do to protect them, right? If we do that to somebody else, if we're acting selfishly and our selfish actions are misinterpreted, you can see how things can go terribly awry. Abimelech had the presence of mind to ask him, what were you playing at? What was your goal? And Abraham, verse 11, said, because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on account of my wife. I have more fear for the pagan world than I do for my God. I'm afraid that you guys don't care about God, therefore you're going to do something to me that my God can't handle? How much of a slap in the face is that? I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place. Was the fear of God in Abraham when he did his actions? No, it was the fear of man. He had the fear of man. Abraham had the fear of man, and he's going into a pagan king saying, I didn't think you had fear of God. Anybody ever hear the saying before? Do as I say, not as I do. I thought I was coming into a nation that did not have fear of God. So in turn, I had fear of man and let that direct me and how I behaved and how I acted. But indeed, she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. So they have the same father. And she became my wife. Now, besides that being kind of gross, this was a different time in the world. This is when there weren't a lot of generations around. Besides, there is no government agency to report them to. And this is before the bloodline was corrupted severely. But this is where we have to understand what telling the truth really is. So, question. When Abraham told Abimelech and Pharaoh, two different occasions, she's my sister, technically, was he telling the truth? Yes. Yeah, he was. We had a president a few presidents ago who was impeached. And he was impeached for lying to Congress. That was the charge. I did not have relations with this person. Right? That was the lie. And in defending himself, he said, there are three definitions for the word is. In other words, he's trying to convolute what he said. Smoke and mirrors. Like somebody I know very well said, well, if the President of the United States doesn't have to tell the truth, why do I? Technically, Abraham is right. Well, she is my sister, at least half-sister. Does that justify what he's doing? What was the charge? What he was doing was telling the people, the Pharaoh and Abimelech, that she was not his wife. The fact that she's half-sister doesn't change what he just said. This is what we have to understand. Even though technically what Abraham said was true, the purpose of what he said was designed to make people misinterpret what the truth was. I might be saying something that's technically true, but I'm trying to twist the truth. I'm trying to convolute the truth. I'm trying to cause you to think differently than what the facts are. That's called a lie. I'm trying to make you think something else with the words that I'm saying. So the fact that they are technically siblings also does not change the fact that he's trying to hide the fact that they're married. That's what he's trying to hide. When we find ourselves playing truth gymnastics, trying to twist in and out of this and that to make people think something else are the facts when they're really not, we're lying. There's no two ways about it. You're either telling the truth or you're trying to make people misunderstand what you're saying. But indeed, she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my wife, or my mother. And she became my wife. She became, yeah, you said I do, she became your wife. Like everybody else, she became my wife. It's not like she was walking down the street and she tripped and she became a wife. It was an intentional act. She became my wife.